Okay, today we're looking at lesson 8.4, page 353. How can you divide fractions by solving a related multiplication sentence? This is really nothing more than we have already looked at. 3 friends share 1/4 pound block of fudge equally. What fraction of a pound of fudge does each friend get? So we have 1/4, and we're going to divide that into thirds. So it will be, if we divide each of our fourths into third-size pieces, and a friend is going to get one of those 1/3 size pieces of a fourth.
1/12.
Right. And the rectangle is now divided into how many parts here? 12. And when you divide 1/4 into 3 equal parts, you are finding 1 of 3 equal parts, or 1/3 of 1/4. Shade 1/3 of 1/4. The shaded part is 1/12 of the whole. Complete the number sentence. 1/4 divided by 3, which we did that right here. Is 1/3 times 1/4, or 1/12. So each friend gets 1/12. Remember how I told you you could use this reciprocal?
Yes.
That's what they did. Okay? All right, now we're down on the bottom. Brad has 9 pounds of ground turkey to make turkey burgers for a picnic. How many 1/3 pound burgers can he make? So we have 9 rectangles there. How many pieces are we going to divide each of those rectangles into? Thirds. 3 parts. So divide your rectangle into 3 parts. When you divide the 9 rectangles into thirds, you are finding a number of thirds in 9 rectangles, or finding 9 groups of 3. There are 27 thirds. Complete the number sentence. 9 divided by 1/3 is 9 times 3
equals 27.
Right. If I made that into my reciprocal, I would have had 9 over 1 times, and I would flip that, right? 3 over 1, which would be 27 over 1, or 27. So Brad can make 27 1/3 pound burgers. Does anybody have any questions? Okay, it says describe how the model shows that dividing by 2 is the same as multiplying 1/2. They have 1/4 divided into 2 right here. They took 1/4 of it, they divided it into 2. And so 1/2, they took, this is 1/2 of 1/4 is equal to 1/8. The model shows that 1/4 divided into 2 equal parts when they say groups is 1/8, and it shows that 1/2 of 1/4 is 1/8 of the whole. Okay, so if I did that in math terms, I had 1/4 divided by 2. So I would put my 2 over 1 to make it a fraction. Then I change it to multiply. I use my reciprocal of my this second place. We can't do the reciprocal of this. And then if I multiplied 1/4 by 1/2, I would get 1/8. Okay, now we're looking at number 2 on the top of page 354. It says, this is model B. Describe how the model shows that dividing by 1/2 is the same as multiplying by 2. So I have 4 wholes, and I divide each one of those wholes into halves. So now I have 4 wholes, and I have made them into 2 parts. So 4 times 2 is 8. So here's that written in words. The model shows that there are 8 halves in 4 wholes. And it shows that 4 groups of 2 is 8. And then if you did that as a mathematical equation, you would put your 4 over 1 divided by 1/2. Then your 4 over 1 would come down. You would change it to multiplication. Use your reciprocal of 1/2. You would get 4 times 2 is 8 over 1. Or, okay, for these expressions, we're on, try this at the bottom of 354. 1/2 divided by 3, 3 divided by 1/2. Okay, it says, for the 2 expressions below, which will have a quotient that is greater than. So when I divide a fraction by a whole number, the quotient is what? When I divide a fraction by a whole number.
It's going to be a fraction.
Okay, it is going to be less than the dividend. When I divide a whole number by a fraction less than 1, the quotient is going to be greater than. The dividend. Okay, above this part of the, on the try this, there is a question that says for the 2 expressions below, which will have a quotient that is greater than its dividend. And that answer would be 3 divided by 1/2. And why would that be? Okay, so you should put the number sentence 3 divided 1/2. And it says, since my quotient represents the number of parts, halves, that make up the whole number, 3, the number of parts will be greater than the whole number. So I had 3 and I divided it into halves. So I now have 6 halves. Okay, we're going to look at the Sharon show at the top of page 355. It says use the model to complete a number sentence. So as you can see, we have 2 wholes, and we divided each of those wholes into 1/4. So now each whole has 4 pieces, which is 8. Okay, this is supposed to be number 7, and it's really 5 divided by 1/3. If I have 5 pieces and each piece is 3 parts, I then have 15 pieces. Okay, this one's a little different. We have a fraction that we're dividing into 4 parts. So if I have a whole and I divide that into 7 pieces, and then I divide one of my 7ths into 4 parts, one of those parts is 1/28 of my whole. Okay, now I'm on number 13. I have 6 wholes that I divide into 5 pieces. So I have 6 times 5 equals 30 pieces.